Welcome in everyone to a One Piece movie to review, Clockwork Island Adventure. Oh my god, this movie was insane. There were a lot of really crazy things happening that we do not see today in One Piece. There was just like a shot of just straight uncensored ass, just like kind of right at the beginning, followed by a very, very obvious insinuation and a double down on the idea that Nami is going to get sexually abused by the villains in the story. Yes, and also the Straw Hats on a cross resembling Jesus Christ, just to top it all off. So, this movie was crazy. Second One Piece movie. The first one we already covered on this channel. If you want to watch it, I'm doing a One Piece movie review. And this one is kind of more formed into what really early One Piece was like, although there's some really interesting moments. It's kind of right at the end of East Blue, before the Grand Line. We have Sanji, Zoro, Usopp, and Nami. We don't have Chopper yet. And overall, it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It's 55 minutes long, so it's on the shorter side if you don't have much time and you want to watch one of the older One Piece movies you haven't seen or haven't seen in a while. It's a really good watch. So it starts off with the Straw Hats just on a beach. We see Zoro working out, Nami getting some sun tanning in, and getting some lotion on her by Sanji, which Sanji has not taken a lot of W's from the woman aspect. In the New World, it's been a lot of Sanji just being kind of a creep. And we see they're on a beach. We see the ship kind of sailing away without them on it. And Luffy's like, "Hey, our ship's really pretty. Look at that." And they're all like, "Hey, you idiot! That's our ship. It's over there. That's not where it should be." So we fast forward like a week, and the Straw Hats are like on some duck raft looking thingy. They're wearing wedding clothes. Sanji's got a groom outfit on. Nami has a bride outfit on. So again, Sanji taking W's that he does not take anymore. And they're just sailing in the ocean, assumedly looking for their ship. And they hear someone yelling, and it ends up being a kid in the ocean, just like allegedly drowning, looking for help. As they get over to him, a net flies up out of the water and captures him. We see a small ship arrive with a guy on it whose name is Barodo! Yes, and we learn that the kid's name is Akisu. Although there are some translation things in this movie, the movie presents him as Akis, but I think his real name is actually Akisu in the real translation. They are the Thief Brothers who hunt treasure. And are they good at it, you might ask? Well, yes, look at all these treasure chests if I can find a picture. But they're filled with rocks. Akisu and Barodo, not actually biological brothers. I'll get into like how their relationship formed in a second. They end up letting the Straw Hats go, and the Straw Hats are like, "Hey, Thief Brothers, have you guys seen our ship?" And Barodo went, "Oh, I think I have. The Card Pirates have it," who are the main antagonists of the story. Another moment where we have a translation issue. If you Google the Card Pirates, it won't come up. They're actually the Trump Pirates, which I'll get into in a little more detail in a second. And as they're asking if they've seen their ship, the Card Pirates pull up, and it's a couple of their members named Bojack and Honey Queen. Honey Queen actually has a Logia, which again I'll get into in a second. And as they pull up, it's actually kind of a cool scene. A bunch of their ships, we see like a hot tub at the top with Honey Queen, and this is where we see just like her straight ass. Okay, and she's in like a hot tub, and she's like, "Hey, Bojack, look at that! Look at them!" And eventually they attack the Straw Hats. Honey Queen has like a Logia, which like lets her turn into a liquid, and Bojack just throws like bombs and spikes at people. Quite different attacks there. Bojack attacks them, and eventually, after some fighting, Nami gets captured, and that's where the references to like sexual assault get referenced very heavily, I might add. Car pirates end up running away. Straw Hats, we should go try to find them. And where are they at? They are at Clockwork Island. As they're on the way to the island, we kind of get a little bit of backstory on Barodo and Akisu. Akisu's probably like 8 or 9 years old. Like 7-ish years ago, he just arrived kind of in the ocean as Barodo was sailing around in a like picnic-looking box, and he had a music box with him that might be relevant a little bit later in the story. Not trying to spoil it. Together, the Straw Hats and the Thief Brothers, they go to Clockwork Island. One thing I will say, Oda has always been really, really good at like visual entrances for characters, islands, you name it. There's a song playing, and then we get a bunch of like shots of him panning to this island, and it's kind of like really gets you excited for adventure. The Straw Hats get to this island, and it's like a bunch of like thin-looking rocks stacked on top of each other, and then at the top we see this island, or this town rather, with a castle on top. That's where the Card Pirates are. The Straw Hats arrived. Shortly before that, Nami had arrived, and that's where we see Nami meet Bear King, who the Trump Pirates, there's really 5 key characters that are all siblings. Bear King is the eldest and the one with the highest bounty. Let me see their bounties real quick. I think I have it here. Yes. So just going to kind of go over them really quick. We've got Bear King with a bounty of 11.6 billion berries, million berries. Honey Queen 7.8 million, Pin Joker 9.9, Bojack 3.2, and Skunk 1 at 6 million. We've already met Honey Queen, we've met Bojack, and now we're to meet Bear King, who sees Nami and is like, whoa, she's wearing a bright outfit. That makes sense. I should be her husband. And Nami just starts like listing out qualifications about why that would not work. Basically flaws that he has. And he's like, I don't have flaws. Flaws. Kind of pan back to the Straw Hats who had climbed to where the town is. And the below area was booby trapped, so it was kind of hard. It took a little bit. But once they get to the town, we have a moment where we've had a few of these moments in some of the One Piece movies that just don't make a lot of sense. Like, this is not how this would go. You would think, right, when one of the Straw Hats is captured, Luffy finally, like, gets it together. But no, they get to the town and Boruto's like, hey, Laura, let's go save your friend, right? And they're all the Straw Hats are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, she's fine. Let's go eat. Really? Sanji was agreeing, like, yeah, we should go eat and change first. So they do. They go eat, they change, and they actually just put the entire tab on the Thief Brothers. Okay. And while this is happening, Nami actually is fine. She's just like hustling them in carts, taking all their money. That was interesting. Very off-brand. That is not how that would work, in my opinion. We then get to a scene where they go into another building on the island, and we see them meeting two chief engineers who actually built the diamond clock. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. Boruto, his motivation is to steal a diamond clock on Clockwork Island, which is like full of jewels, really famous, probably worth a lot of money. And the chief engineers are like, yeah, you can go ahead and steal that. Doesn't really matter. We just want to be free. Because 7 years ago, the Trump pirates came and kind of commandeered the island. And the whole thing is Bear King is wanting them to build him a king cannon, which he says will make him the king of the pirates, or rule the seas, I think is the verbiage he used, which we've seen that a few times before. Okay, East Blue villain, yeah, good luck with that. So at this point, the Straw Hats leave the building with the two chief engineers, and they start flying up towards the castle where Card Pirates and Nami are at. They get attacked again by Bojack and Honey Queen. In this movie, it's kind of like the Straw Hats just getting captured one by one over and over again. Sanji gets captured. Then we go to the castle gate where we see Skunk 1, which is another member of the Card Pirates that we haven't seen yet. We saw him kind of like a few clips of him, but we haven't seen him fight yet. And his whole thing is his name is Skunk. He farts on people. That's right. So we've got Zoro, Luffy, and Usopp left. Who do you think is going to fight the character that farts on people? Exactly. It's Usopp. Usopp, right before this fight, had just given a speech to Akisu about being a man and fighting for what you need. So Usopp's like, guys, I'll take on this Skunk 1 guy. And the way he does it is he basically just puts his mouth on his ass and just like captures all the farts with his mouth. And eventually he just kind of gets flown away with his mouth on his ass into the Card Pirates castle. So that's Usopp getting captured. So then Luffy, Zoro, Boruto, and Akisu go into the Card Pirates castle, and they get to like this room that kind of has a low ceiling, just like layers of rock on each side, and the ceiling starts collapsing. So Zoro and Luffy start like holding it up, and then we get another weird scene where Boruto is tending to Akisu. I think I got knocked out by a guard in that room as they were entering, and Boruto's like, sorry, I tricked you guys. I was the one that stole your ship. And we have like a villain music playing, which is really not what needs to be playing right now. And Zoro's like, huh, so you tricked us. And Boruto's like, yes, I don't really want the clock. I want you to save this damn island. And Zoro and Luffy are like, ah! Again, doesn't make a lot of sense for this to be a villain just to say that. Boruto's like, yes, I want you guys to save this island because I think this is the Kisu's homeland. Oh, he has that Clockwork music box, Clockwork Island. I did not see that coming. Boruto's like, okay, I'm going to go do it myself. I'm going to go to the top and fight the Card Pirates. So Akisu's still knocked out. Zoro and Luffy are holding up the ceiling, but then we see Pin Joker pull up, who is the last member of the family that we haven't talked about. Pin Joker's whole thing is that he has, well, not his whole thing, but he just says sayings incorrectly. Like he says, a cloth to the flame. And people just keep correcting him, like, moth. He pulls up, he ends up capturing Zoro, and then it's just Luffy holding the thing up, and all the Straw Hats are captured. We fast forward to the top of the castle, where the Straw Hats are now, like, on a balcony, on crosses, all, like, strung up outside of Nami. Boruto pulls up, and he's like, alright, it's time to, I'm gonna end this. And actually, not really with fists, as I was alluding to, because that's what Luffy does. He just has, like, dynamite strapped to himself. He's like, I'm gonna blow you guys up and take myself with you, which is how that would work. And then they're all looking at him like, you can't blow it up, you're gonna blow up the whole damn island. Which he's like, oh, snap. So then Bear King ends up hitting him, and yeah, now we should talk about Bear King, who Honey Queen has a Logia Devil Fruit, which in this point in the story, pretty damn good. It's an unknown liquid. We'll get to kind of obviously how she gets defeated in a second. But Bear King has a Paramecia. I think it's called what, the Kachi Kachi no Mi? Yes. It kind of makes his body harder like a rock, and he can make his fists heated and make it hurt a lot more when he punches. Another one of these heat-ish devil fruits that we see so many of. So Bear King ends up kicking Barodo, or punching him rather, and we see Luffy blast through the ceiling, and not just like a floor. He blasts through like 5 floors of rock to get to the top of the castle. This was before this. Is this where Oda got his idea for Crocodile? Wow, that could be where he got that idea, because Crocodile gets blasted through the ground. Luffy just blasts through floors above him to get to the top of the castle, and that's where he's like, okay, it's go time. So eventually the Straw Hats get freed. We see the King Cannon at the same time is getting unveiled. The King Cannon is finished, so the stakes are getting really high. And the Straw Hats get freed. We end up seeing them fight the other members like Skunk One, Bojack, Honey Queen, Pin Joker, and Luffy fights Bear King. Now, when we see Bear King get defeated, Luffy kind of like punches him and the King Cannon into the floor, which ends up destroying the entire island. Which means that he saves them, yes, but their island gets destroyed. So then, once everyone's freed, we and I forgot how to mention how Honey Queen gets defeated, because you might be curious. Logia, pre-New World, what the hell? She turns into her liquid and just gets trapped in like a bottle. Yeah, the way that Logias get defeated, pre-hockey, is a fun time. We're gonna get to movie 4 here in a second, where there's another Logia. Speaking of movie 4, I'm doing a whole One Piece movie series, and movie 4, I can't wait. It's just the best One Piece movie. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, if you have like an hour, it's just fantastic. Followed by movie 5, which a lot of people think is the worst One Piece movie, simply because Zoro acts completely out of character for most of the movie. Also, the villain's power source is kind of sketchy. And then we also have Baron Omatsuri, one of that movie where it's really, really dark, which we're going to get to as well. So just trying to little plug my future movie reviews here that you might want to be excited for, because I know I am. So anyways, as the island is falling, we hear like a song playing from the Diamond Clock as it's all collapsing. And it's the same song that matches Akisu's music box. And that's where everyone's like, oh my god, are you from here? Yes. Those 2 chief engineers we had met earlier are actually Akisu's parents. Good for him. He meets his parents. He's going to stick with them, right? Nope. We see Barodo sailing off, and he's like, dang, I'm gonna miss that little kid. And then, spoiler alert, Akisu gets back on the ship, and he's like, dude, it doesn't matter if we're not blood related. I'm a thief, brother. This is what I do. Yeah, really? The kid's like 8 or 9 years old. Those of you that are above the age of like 18, life changes, your views change. So they get their kid back, and then it's like, hey, yeah, you go do that. You gotta do what you gotta do. Hey, it's good to see you. Check back later. What? Yeah. So that's kind of just how it ends. Yeah. It sounds like I didn't like it. It was really good. There's just some weird moments, but if you really like East Blue and seeing something you either haven't seen in a while or haven't seen at all, you should give it a go. It's like 55 minutes. I thought it was pretty good, better than the first one. Yeah, in general, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Movie 4 is a 10 out of 10. That's the benchmark I'm trying to be at. But anyways, yeah, I think that's going to be it for this one. If you guys could leave a like and a sub, it would help the channel a lot. Obviously, a newer One Piece channel. We've made a full live action review if you'd like to see it here. We've done some current One Piece stuff, so that's kind of what this channel is about. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you next time.